It was June 20th, I think. It was as if they'd been set up like a movie, because we come tootling along and there's the entire Russian whaling fleet with the factory ship and all the chaser boats. Beautiful available light for our cameras, 10 o'clock in the morning, and bang, a dead whale lying in the water. Now, the first whale we saw, one of the women on board, Carly Truman, suddenly yelled out, "My God, it's just a baby." And it was. So the first thing we did was get our camera crew out there with Paul Watson, our diver, to try and measure the whale. But to this point, we've been dealing with live whales, and everyone was in love with whales, and here's this slaughtered teenage whale lying in the water, and everybody just got, the emotions just got pretty crazy at that stage.
What do you say, Paul? How long do you think it is? How long? About 18 feet.
So Watson jumped on it, and as a matter of fact, the whale's eye was open, so he just pushed the lid and closed its eye.
When you say on board, you mean you jumped on the top of a whale. What was that like?
Well, it was sad. I mean, there was a harpoon lower in the back, and the blood was coming through, so the blood was coming on my hands. And it was very recently killed because it was very warm.
We measured it, and in fact it was 26 feet, which is 4 feet under the legal minimum. And then those of us who were up on the main vessel suddenly looked up and we realized that one of the Russian killer boats had turned around and was coming straight towards us. So the first thing we did was yell over to the camera crew and Watson to hurry up, get back on, because, I mean, absurdly enough, at that point we were worried about all our camera equipment being sprayed because the Russians had this big fire hose going on the front of their boat. So it was this ridiculous situation of us being attacked by a World War II type military vessel with a harpoon mounted on the front, except that they were firing a hose. So what they started doing the moment we showed up is they started going around and scooping up all these whales that had been lying in the water, and they lashed them to the side of the chaser boat. Then they would take the whales over to the factory ship where a line would be transferred, and they'd haul them in through a hole at the back. So our camera crew went right up and started taking pictures.
Were they actually cutting up whales there?
Mm-hmm. Non-stop, day after day. The bilge pump on the side has blood pouring out of it, and underneath the water there's a constant school of sharks just floating around, nibbling away.
How did it smell?
Exactly like a slaughterhouse. In fact, almost everybody on our boat, when we suddenly came around downwind from it, just about everybody threw up. They thought we were a bunch of Canadians out there making a movie or something like that. They didn't catch on at all until we finally got our rubber boats right in front of their harpoon that there was something wrong. There was a guy running back and forth to the bridge, and I guess they finally got the word from the Kremlin or Vladivostok or wherever they get the word from, and decided to go ahead anyway. But the guy must have been a good shot, is all I can figure out, or else we were awfully lucky, whatever. He kind of waited till we went down on a swell and the whales came up, and then he fired over our head, so it missed us by maybe about 6 or 7 feet.
How heavy is the cable? How big is the cable?
Well, that cable was the thing we were worried about. It's a big steel cable, and so it came down just about 3 feet outside of our Zodiac, like a huge Damoclean sword going into the water. And then the whale starts convulsing, so then we had to get out of there fast before we got sliced into pieces by that.
The Russians decided to end the confrontation. They abandoned the pod of whales and they steamed away at a speed which was 8 knots faster than Greenpeace could muster. This summer, the Greenpeace people will sail out once again in search of the whalers, but this time they're going to have a faster ship. Right now, here off the coast of Newfoundland and Labrador, their project is to save the seals out there in their newborn thousands getting used to the cold world.